It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang. At this point, I am going to willingly sign over my rights to my oldest daughter and conduct myself like I only have 2 children and treat it like the situation is she got adopted at birth and we don't know each other, because I've taken all I can take. So it is what it is. So guess I'm a deadbeat mom. Oh no, they're definitely gonna consider me a deadbeat mom, because I won't be paying child support. I don't care how many warrants they put out. I won't be paying child support. I'm actually just gonna act like she don't exist. So yeah, they definitely gonna consider me a deadbeat. In my eyes, I didn't give birth to her, so I don't know who she is. And if they keep pushing me on the issue of signing over my rights, don't bother me none. I'm still not gonna do whatever they want me to do. He don't do it, neither will I be. I will live my life like I only have 2 kids with no regrets, and she don't exist to me. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely be a deadbeat. Warrants and all, not paying no child support, not giving them my money, is what it is. Okay, so I've done this before, but I'm back in the fight of my life for my 9-year-old. Y'all know about my 2 kids. I mean, for my 10, about to be 11-year-old. Y'all know about Jay Zala and Jay Zion. But if some of y'all were my friends back then, I posted a long series about my ex, and I gave y'all a story time on a daughter, my oldest daughter. I have another child that I have not seen now in 9 years. And I'm about to start going back through the process of fighting again. So TikTok has been my healing place for a while, and I find that stories can help other people. So I'm going to give y'all a story time of this story, start to finish. So we're going to start from me meeting the guy all the way through to her getting taken from me. So I don't talk about this much because emotionally it's just too much for me. Before I start this, I'm going to tell you it is a lot of trigger warnings in this whole thing. It's going to take a lot of different series for me to get the whole story out there. And when you hear the whole story, then you'll realize that she should have been with me. But this is going to be one of those situations where the court failed you. And being young failed you. But I can assure you all that I didn't do anything wrong to lose my kid. I'm going to not only give y'all a story time, but I'm also going to show some proof of some things throughout the story time as well. So bear with me. So we're going to start out with, I have a 10, about to be 11-year-old daughter. I have been begging, pleading, and reaching out to the father of her to see her be in her life, which I do have rights to her. We're going to talk about that throughout the series, but I have not seen her. So we're going to start with part 1 on my next video, because I kind of don't want to like break it up. But again, there's a lot of trigger warnings in here, a lot of domestic violence going on in here, a lot of things that happen in here, and I'm more than likely going to block the comments because I just don't want the negativity. So if it starts up, I'm just going to block the comments. So yeah, let's get into part 1 of my 10-year-old that I haven't seen in 9 years. That I have been fighting to see for 9 years, that I have rights to, that I was supposed to be seeing. But you know, men are not the only one who go through having your child snatched from you unjustly, being put on child support and battling to see your child and build a relationship and losing the relationship because of the narcissist of the parent. Okay, so to start the story out, I was 16 years old when I met this guy. Now, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I was one of those out-of-control teenagers, thought I knew it all, very rebellious, okay? I met him when I was 16. He told me he was 21. I was in a foster home at the time, and I started talking to him. After about a few weeks of talking to him, I found out that he was actually 26 and not 21. So I still kept talking to him, again, young and rebellious and just dumb. So I ran away from my foster home when I was 16. He was 26. And I went with him to his mother's home. And then my mother and him worked at the same job. So when my mother, my biological mother, found out where I was through someone else, she started threatening him at his job. So I went back to my foster home. Now, he knew I was 16 the whole time. I never lied about my age. Okay, so that's how I met him. Let's fast forward, because it's a lot, but I'm going to shorten it up. So I got older. We stayed together for a few years, and then I had like a couple of miscarriages in the process of being together, like four miscarriages. So the abuse continued, and I was one of those people he was a narcissist, and I would lie and tell the police, I wouldn't go to court when I pressed charges. I would lie and say, oh, this happened or that happened. That's how I got bruised. I would wear makeup to cover the bruises. Mind y'all, he was 26. I was 16 when we originally met. So I was still pretty naive most of the relationship because I was way younger than him. And he had a lot of sense of control with me because he made it his mission to make sure my cars was in his name, our apartment was in his name. My money was even going to his bank account because he had me believing that at 17, 18, I couldn't have my own bank account. So, I was pretty naive to a lot of stuff. So the final straw for me was he had choked me till I passed out. And when I woke up, I was like literally playing dead because he was like packing up clothes very frantically, and I think he thought he killed me. And so when I came to, like, I saw like my life literally flash before my eyes. And when I came to, I just laid there and played dead until he was out of the house. Then I jumped up, packed up as much as I can, went to my aunt's house, and I didn't call the police or anything because I felt like nobody was going to listen to me now because it's been years of abuse, and I kept not showing up to court, and I kept lying and like trying to protect him. So I just wanted to end it. So I walked away from the relationship, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to move on with my life. Thank God that I made it out of that. Thank God I did not die. Thank God that I woke up, because I don't know how long I was out to make him think that he killed me. But he was literally packing his clothes in trash bags in a panic, trying to get out of the apartment. And so I never wanted to look back at that point. I was just like, okay, thank God I got out. So
thank God, but didn't.
So 2 more months went by, and I started getting really sick. I thought I had the flu. I went to the doctor and found out I was pregnant. He was the last person I slept with, and so my mind started racing because I was like, I thought I was done with this. I thought I would never have to deal with this person again. Like, I thought, he was such a narcissist, and it was so easy for him to get people to believe him, because I always, whenever I would call the police, whenever he would abuse me, I would always lie and cover it up for him, because he always made me feel like it was my fault. He always made me feel like, if I go to jail, what are you going to have? Your car's in my name. This is in my name. That's in my name. What are you going to do? So, I always lied. So people just kind of started to believe him more than me, I guess. And that's kind of how I felt anyways. So I didn't immediately tell him that I was pregnant. I waited until I was like 6 months. And I actually didn't tell him. He ended up seeing me out in public and found out and put two and two together. And that's actually how he found out that I was actually pregnant. And even then I tried to lie and say it was somebody else's. But of course, he put two and two together to figure out that it wasn't. All right, so fast forwarding,
young and dumb.
He realized it was his. At that point, he started coming around, like insinuating that we would get back together. But in my mind, I'd already come to the conclusion that that was not going to happen. Like, I knew it was just not going to happen, because I had suffered miscarriages at his hands while we were together as well. So I made it my mission to make sure that he met me at the doctor's. I never went anywhere with him by myself. And I never tried to be around him alone. I always felt concerned about that. So my car ended up messing up on me, and I couldn't get back and forth to the doctor because I lived like 45 minutes out of town. And so I needed to get another car. My aunt that I was living with didn't have a car, and so my only option was to call him to ask him for a ride. So I was really reluctant to do it because I just was like, okay, I don't know if I could trust this, but I really needed the car because I couldn't afford not to go to the doctor being pregnant. So against my better judgment and out of desperation, because I had nobody else to take me, I didn't have a car. I had to get back and forth to the doctor. I had a high-risk pregnancy. I figured me being pregnant, he wouldn't try anything. So I asked him to take me to the place that I had to go to pick up my car. When we were on our way there, he was kind of talking about relationships and stuff, and I was just kind of agreeing with him because I didn't want to antagonize him or make him angry because I knew how volatile he could be. So when we got there to pick up my car, it wasn't ready, and my heart dropped in my chest because at this point I have to ride back with him, and that is not something I want to do because he's already starting to get agitated at the fact that I'm not really saying we're going to get back together. So I tried to be quiet on the ride back, but we were going 45 minutes back to where I lived. And so, you know, I tried to keep the music playing or do different stuff to try to keep it, you know, cordial. You guys going to have to come back for the next part because I think it's about to end on us. But, okay, so we left off on the part of me on the way back from getting my car. We left off on that part. So, like I said, I kept the radio blasting. I tried to do everything I can to avoid the conversation of relationship or anything because I just didn't want any issues because I knew what type of person I was dealing with. And I knew I didn't want to make him angry. I just really didn't want to make him angry. So we are like halfway back to my aunt's house, and he starts to get very, very angry. And like I said, I've dealt with him for a while. I've dealt with being beat on and abused for a while. And so I knew what I was going to be facing. So when he started to get agitated, I noticed he locked the car door. So at this point, I grabbed the car door side, but I realized I can't unlock the door from my side because he has a child safety lock on the door. So the car starts to speed up as like he's really angry, and the car starts to speed up, and I know where he starts punching me, like wailing on me out of nowhere. So I immediately start protecting myself because at this time, so again, trigger warning. And if you have not watched the videos before, go back and watch those and then come back to this one and follow me if you want the full story because I'm just breaking it up into sections. So finally, somehow or another, I got my car door open and we were going around a curve where there was like a railroad track and there was a few houses. Now me getting out of the car while the car was moving, I ended my bottom part of my leg ended up getting stuck underneath the back wheel. So I thought my leg was broke because there was this excruciating pain in it. But I was so scared that I just jumped up and started running. Like I wasn't thinking about the pain or nothing. So I looked back and I noticed, I think he had a gun. I'm not 1,000% sure. But I thought he had a gun pointing at me because he was like doing like this with his hands. So I really know. But I just took off. I ended up finding this house and I got behind the house. And the owner saw a lot of what was going on when the car passed by. So he comes in the owner's yard and the owner's like, get out of my yard, get out of my yard. I don't know who you're looking for. No one's in my yard. I at this point had then crawled into a little crawl space under the house. So when he walked back there, he couldn't see me, but I was on the phone with 911 with my sister, and she was on the phone with 911. And then eventually I got on the phone with 911 myself. So I went to the hospital, but y'all know how I told y'all earlier in the story, I did a lot of lying to the police. I would press charges and wouldn't back it up. So when I went, they didn't take me serious. My leg was not broken. I don't know how that didn't happen, but basically, I guess the way I had my foot turned, it didn't break my leg or nothing. I was a little bruised up, but that was it. So they decided to lock him up for domestic violence, but nothing else because they just, not that they didn't believe me, but like I said, I didn't been to court so many times, it just kept dropping charges. So they honestly, I don't feel like they took it serious. So we're going to move to another story because this is about the time out, and we'll move on to the next part to tell you guys what happened next. Okay, so we left off at them locking him up for domestic violence and all that. So at this point, I didn't back down on this domestic violence situation. I feel like when we went before the judge, though, the judge kind of looked at the background and just didn't take it serious because he made a comment that, you know, he's tired of women coming in here and going back to the abuser and, you know, whatever. And so they didn't give him any time in jail. Like, he didn't get any time or anything like that. We couldn't be around each other and stuff like that. So let's fast forward past that. So a few months go by. I end up having my daughter, and he ends up coming to the hospital and seeing her and stuff like that. Mind you, there's still an order in place where we're not really supposed to be around each other. So at this point, I take my daughter home, and I'm not really talking to him a whole lot. I'm trying to be as distant as possible, but not have no tension or drama because I don't want nothing to happen. So I would like answer his calls and like stuff like that, but not really talk. So October 31st came, and he had not had my daughter on his own at this point because I was just against it. October 31st came, and I decided to allow him to get my daughter that night. So I go up there with my sister because I do not trust this man. And I meet him at his mother's house, and I give him my daughter with her bag and stuff, and he immediately starts like trying to say stuff like, he's like, why does she look dirty? I'm like, she doesn't look dirty, she just had a bath before I came here. He's like, oh, her milk isn't clean. I was like, that's not true, her milk is clean. She has two I was breastfeeding at the time, so I said she has 2 bottles made, and then I have a bunch of breast milk that you need to freeze until you get ready to use. But I could tell that he was trying to basically call out little things that was inaccurate to try to make me try to say I was being a bad parent or something. And it struck me as odd, but I really didn't think about it too much, because he's a narcissist, and that's what he does, try to get under your skin and hurt you so that you know, that's just what he does. So I took it as a grain of salt, and I didn't want conflict. So like I said, I just didn't want any conflict. So I go pick my daughter back up, and when I go pick my daughter back up, it was like he kept her that day. This is in 2010, by the way. He kept her that day and the next day, and then I went and got her because I had to go to work. So I went and picked her up after I got out of work. When I went to go pick her up, he said something like, he was like, "Why you look like you high on drugs?" I'm like, "I've been dealing with you for 6 years. I've never done drugs a day in my life. I know you know this by now about me. I've never done drugs a day in my life. Like, what are you talking about?" Just being real weird and saying little stuff. And I'm like, he's like, "Well, you need to make sure she's clean next time." I said, "I have pictures of her when I dropped her off to you. She was very clean. She was very fed. She was very taken care of." Now, I don't know if you guys are from South Carolina, but if any of you are, you know about the Dooley case where the Dooley girl killed her 2 kids. So the next part of this story, that's going to play a major role as we move into the next part. I'm going to go ahead and end this part. Go back to the other ones to watch everything if you haven't watched up to this point, and we're going to keep things rolling. But we're about to end right now.
She spent more time explaining herself than the actual.
Part this is, but we're moving on to the next part. I'm labeling each part as we go. So if you are getting to this part and haven't watched the rest, go back and watch the rest. Trigger warnings all throughout every part because there's a lot of domestic violence and different things that happen. But I'm going to continue with my story. Okay, so November, the Dooley girl killed her 2 little boys in November. That very next day, November the 24th, the day before Thanksgiving, a guy comes to my mom's house to the door, and he serves my mom some papers. So my mom immediately starts getting like kind of frantic as she's reading the papers, but the papers are for me, but I didn't know it at the time. He had subpoenaed the court, telling them that I sent him a text message threatening to kill myself and my daughter, and I contacted him with a video of me basically like pushing my daughter down in the tub. Now mind you, she's not even fully 1 month old, trying to kill her, and she's fighting back. Now we're gonna talk more about that video and stuff later on, but I want y'all to remember what I said about the video and the text message. It's gonna come up later in this whole situation because it was of course found not to be true, but we're gonna keep rolling with it. So I didn't have time to get a lawyer because it was Thanksgiving the next day. I got subpoenaed 6 o'clock that evening, the day before Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving the next day, Black Friday day after that, and then the weekend. So I couldn't get a lawyer. Court was 9 a.m. Monday morning. Like 9 a.m. that next Monday morning was my court. I had no chance. I had to go in there pro bono. Mind y'all, he's 31. I'm 21 at the time, I believe. He had a lawyer from the VA because he was a military vet. He had a lawyer from the VA. I had nobody. Again, mind y'all, I told y'all, Dooley girl just killed her kids. So the same day that I saw the judge, right before I walked in for my hearing, the Dooley girl was walking out. So I already had in my mind where this thing finna go. Black woman just killed 2 of her kids. Black woman coming in here with a man making claims that she harmed her kids. Let's go to the next part. So I get in there. Again, I don't have a lawyer. I work at Walmart. I can't afford a lawyer. My aunt told me to go in there and say no contest to ask for time. I didn't know what to do, y'all. I really didn't. So a police officer starts to stand behind me, and I already knew something was about to happen. He starts rubbing me on my shoulder, and he knows me from childhood. He said, "I want you to keep calm." The judge says, based on the Dooley girl situation, basically, we're going to have to take this child and temporarily give custody to the father until further investigation is done. No text messages were presented. No video he claimed I made was presented, nothing. She said, "Do not come back in my courtroom until you have a lawyer." Again, I worked at Walmart. I was not making a whole lot of money. I could not afford a lawyer. The cheapest lawyer I could find wanted $2,500 up front. So it took me like 6 months to get the money together to even get a lawyer to even start the process. In these 6 months, I didn't see my daughter at all. The courts told him that I was supposed to see my daughter every weekend, but that didn't happen. It's going to break end on us. Let's move to the next part. Scroll up for the next part. All right. Again, I don't know which part this is, but it's all in order. So scroll down if you missed any of it. Follow me to continue to read it and catch up on the stories. I'm going to be posting them little by little, but it's a whole series. So I'm going to break it up as much as I possibly can, but it's a long story. Trigger warning because there is a lot of domestic violence and things like that being talked about. So we stopped at them taking my daughter from me, giving her to him temporarily. And I'm frantic. I don't know what to do. I'm just lost. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm going to come up with a lawyer. I don't really have no family support like that. I'm really out here by myself trying to make something shake. So I ended up working as many hours as I can in those 6 months to get a lawyer, and the cheapest lawyer I could find took $1,000, but he was new to family law. So I didn't know what type of situation I was going to get myself into because he was new to family law. So I finally got the lawyer, and the lawyer went and put in for a court date for me to go to court. When we went back to court, the court date was to decide what was the next step. The judge felt like because I had not seen the child in 6 months, they at that time still didn't feel comfortable giving me my child back. That hurt me. I didn't know how to take that. So they looked over my stuff, what I said, my story, and his side. They put a guardian ad litem in place, who at the time the judge asked her, did she have access to the messages? The guardian ad litem said she never saw a video. She did see some messages, but they looked like they were sent online, and she cannot confirm the messages were sent by me. They took my cell phone from me, contacted, it was Altel at the time, did a trace on my phone, could not find a message from me to him at the time that is listed on there, because matter of fact, my phone was disconnected anyways because I couldn't pay my phone bill, so I didn't have a phone to send a message from, and the phone number that he was showing wasn't my phone number, by the way. So they appointed guardian ad litem. They let me spend about 10 minutes with my daughter at that moment because I had not seen her. They put a visitation in place to tell him that I was supposed to get her every single weekend, but it had to be supervised because, again, he said that I made threats of harming my child and that I had abused her. And so that's how. So they also wanted me to go to do a psychological evaluation because he was saying I was psychotic, I was a prostitute, I was a stripper. He was saying all kinds of stuff. I was just flabbergasted at the stuff that he was allowed to say. They had no proof of it. I know I never done. So they had wanted me to take a psychiatric evaluation. It was $1,000. Mind y'all, I'm working at Walmart. I don't know how I'm going to pay $1,000 for a psychiatric evaluation. They wanted me to be drug tested every week. And then he said that I had drugs in my system when the baby was born. I brought in paperwork proving that was a lie, and that every doctor's appointment I went to, I was drug free. He said I missed doctor's appointments continuously. I proved that was a lie. He said my daughter was malnourished and behind on her shots. I proved all of that stuff was a lie. He said she came to him dirty. I took all the pictures and videos of my daughter every time I ever brought her to him, showing that she was clean and well kept. So everything he was saying about me, I could prove that it was a lie. But I still wasn't able to get my child, and they still wanted the visitation to be supervised. This is going to end, so we're going to move to the next. Okay, so before we get into the next part, I'm going to stop right here and let y'all know a few things. Some of y'all are probably wondering, couldn't you just give them the police paperwork to show that he was abusing you so you could get your child back? No. I did try to do that. I tried to get my lawyer to do that, but the judge was not concerned about any of that stuff at that point because they wanted all of that to be for trial. They didn't care about any of that at that point because, again, the Dooley girl had just killed her kids, and they would he made an allegation and they ran with it because I guess they didn't want it to happen again, which it wouldn't have happened. I loved my daughter. So, yes, I did try to put in there the abuse and stuff that I went through, but unfortunately, the judge did not want to hear any of that right now. She kept telling my lawyer this wasn't a hearing for that. You could present all that at the final hearing. This hearing is just so she can get some visitation to her child while we go through this case, or whatever. So don't think that we didn't try that. We definitely did. Okay? So we're going to move on to what, I think we stopped at the part where they gave me visitation or whatever, and I proved that all the allegations he made was false. So it took 2 years for me to get back in court because they kept throwing stuff at me. Once I came up with $1,000 for the psychiatric evaluation, they threw something else at me. Once I paid for that, they threw something else at me. And then I was still paying $150 every week trying to take these drug tests that they want me to take. All the stuff that they wanted me to do, it was costing me money, and then I had to pay for the lawyer, and I was doing my best I could to work. So I did have visitation in place, and my aunt was supposed to be the supervised party. I got my daughter all of 3 times in 2 years. I begged, I pleaded, I sent messages, I did everything I could, but it was nothing I could do. Every time I would try to go back to court to ask them, like, hey, he's not letting me see my daughter. Again, I had a crappy lawyer, you know. He wouldn't put it in for me to go back to court. They kept denying me an early court date. So for 2 years, I saw my daughter 3 times. No matter how much begging and pleading I did, I didn't see her. So it was the hardest 2 years of my life. But I didn't realize a narcissist could be so powerful. He was telling people I wasn't trying to see her. I didn't want to see her. I got hundreds of messages. You hear me? Hundreds of messages. But I didn't know what to do. He wasn't physically abusing me anymore, but now he was mentally whipping my ass. Like, I just didn't know what to do.
My lawyer was a piece of crap. I was working 2 jobs, but I still couldn't afford anything because they just kept throwing stuff at me. They just kept throwing stuff at me, and I kept having to pay for it. And I'm going to take a minute to regroup, and then we're going to move on to the next part. Follow, go backwards if you missed some of it, and then come back up. Okay, I had to get it together real quick.
What is wrong?
So at this point, she's 2 years old. I've only seen her 3 times, and now it's time for the final hearing. I've done a psychiatric evaluation. I've done everything that they asked of me. And so I went in there with confidence, thinking I'm going to get my kid back. I proved everything. He hasn't been able to give you this video he claimed I sent him. The text messages, clearly he sent it himself. I mean, it's common sense. You could just tell it. I just thought I was getting my baby back. Like, I just knew it. So I go in there, and we start the proceedings. They started bringing out affidavits and putting people on the stand. Well, let me stop right there. My lawyer was so crappy, y'all. I had text messages of me trying to see my child in these 2 years. Recorded calls of him denying me my child, begging and pleading on Facebook messages. I had so much proof of that. I also had a girl come in there with me that he dated before me that was willing to testify on my behalf about how abusive he was. And guess what my idiot lawyer did? My idiot lawyer did not put in any evidence to be heard at the final trial. So I couldn't do anything. They wouldn't look at my Facebook messages. They wouldn't look at anything. They wouldn't let the affidavits come in. They wouldn't let the woman who was willing to speak for me come in because my lawyer failed to submit to the paperwork in time. And it had to be reviewed by the judge within 48 hours prior to court.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in here with nothing. Okay, nothing to prove my point, prove my case, prove that I did the things that I said I did. So he gets up on the stand and they asked him, did I try to see the child in 2 years? He told him no. And he told him that he was trying to get me to see the child and I was refusing. After this one right here, I'm going to post a series of messages from me to him. He told him I made no effort to see my child. Her birthday passed twice. He said I made no effort during her birthday. Now, mind y'all, I have proof of all this effort that I made, but my lawyer failed to do his job, so I couldn't put the proof in. He said I didn't give my daughter anything from her birthday. Mind you, I had pictures of everything I purchased of. I even had a video of him meeting me at McDonald's and not bringing her with him, and then his mom pulling up with her and them not even allowing me to hold her, and then wouldn't even take the gifts I brought her with them. Because like I told you, I only saw her 4 times. 3 times. Hold on, let me make sure I got it right. Yeah, I saw her 4 times. 3 times when my aunt picked up and 1 time when he did bring her to the McDonald's, but they wouldn't let me hold her or anything. The story he was going around telling the world was that I was not allowed to see my child or hold my child, and I was legally not allowed to be around children at all. We're going to go through and prove all this later on. But that was the story he was telling people. Mind you, the case hasn't ended yet, but that's the story he was running with, and that I abandoned her. So he's up there telling lie after lie, and there's nothing I could do besides sit there and take it because my lawyer failed to do his job. So, like I was saying on the last part before it ended, I was just sitting there. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't defend myself. So I ended up getting on the stand. When I ended up getting on the stand, they asked me questions. I was trying to tell them as much as I could, but the judge kept cutting me out saying, get to the point and stuff like that. Like they asked me why didn't I see her in 2 years. I said, well, my lawyer failed to put in evidence, but I have text messages and Facebook messages and recorded calls and stuff. If y'all would just allow me to play them, I have my phone right here begging them to let me play them. They said that's not how court works. My lawyer didn't put anything in, so just answer the question. I was telling them like, yes, I made every effort to see my daughter, but I wasn't allowed to. He didn't let me. Like I went to his house a couple of times and they called the police on me, and I left. I don't know what else to tell y'all. So then his mom gets on the stand and just straight lied about, like literally lied her butt off. He had like so many people, y'all, that I never met in my so many people that I never met in my entire life getting on the stand, like making, like basically telling them scenarios about me. I've honestly never seen these people a day in my life. I was just flabbergasted at how my lawyer just let these people be witnesses. I've never seen them before, don't know them, never heard of them, and they were just telling all these stories, and I was just sitting there like, none of this ever happened. What are y'all talking about? Like, where did these people come from? I didn't know what to do, and my lawyer kept rebuttaling, kept like trying to, like, I forgot what you call the word, but like contesting stuff, and the judge is like, "You sit down, Mr. Johnson. You haven't submitted any evidence. Sit down, Mr. Johnson." So, and I'm sitting there bawling, crying already because I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't get this. Like, he's got all these witnesses saying stuff that I don't know them. This never happened. Yeah, I was losing my mind in there. Like, I just was so shocked at how everything was playing out. So the judge then decides that we're going to go to recess. So we come back from recess, and I guess the judge made her decision. While they did not find me any of the things he said about me to be true, I had not seen my child in 2 years, and they did not want to take her out of the environment she was in because she did not know me. Now here's the kicker, you guys. This is gonna end quick, so I don't even want to put it on this one. I'm gonna put it on the next one. But there's a kicker to this that y'all can be like, what? So yeah, they decided that he was gonna get custody because the child had been there for 2 years, but they made it very clear to him that they did not want me to lose the relationship with my child, and they wanted me to rebuild, rekindle, and continue a relationship with my daughter. And they thought that they found me to be a loving mother based on my psychological evaluation. Everything came back good, but it was just I hadn't seen her in 2 years, and they did not want to change her scenery. That was
no, you misread that. That's old. I just reposted what came off my old page. I'm not fighting no more. I am signing over my rights as soon as I can. I have no intentions of fighting. I want no relationships, no parts of either one of them. So I guess you missed a whole lot of it, but it'll be in the book. But yeah, I'm not fighting no more. That video that I just reshared was from 3 years ago when it was worth fighting. Baby, the battle is now God's. It is no longer mine. And mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I need to remove myself from the situation. That child is brainwashed, narcissistic, and manipulative just like him. And baby, I don't want that drained into my other children's brains, nor do I want to be a part of it. I have spent over $160,000 trying to make this situation better, and nobody's holding him accountable. So it's time for me to remove myself. In my head, she don't exist. In my head, that joint custody they gave me, they can have it back. The only reason why I haven't signed over my rights yet is because he's trying to make it hard. I don't know why, because I'm not paying no child support. I'm not giving up no coins. I ain't got but 2 kids.
What to do, everyday people, man? It's your boy PJ. Today we back with another lit video. We back in the confessional, and yes, we staying lit, big dog, man. Shout out to my everyday people who rock with me every day. Shout out to my homeboy Lucky Wizard Deals, man. He keeps it lit. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Hit the link down below. We got HiveMindLabs.com. We got Opulence Scents. Y'all missed out on the sale for the 12-wick candle, but y'all can go ahead and get a regular wick candle and get some fat burners from HiveMindLabs.com. Now, I started writing down on the list because I knew this was a lot. So the man mom found out and was going to call the cops on him and report him to the job. The mom worked with the guy. Okay, he was controlling and kept all to be messy. He was abusive. She got pregnant twice, miscarried first child. She lied so much the police stopped believing her. Terrible lawyer. It's a 10-year age gap difference. That's a lot. Now, and I feel her pain because I'm gonna just be honest. When I was having, when I went and got court orders for my daughter, and I'm supposed to see them at some point, all of them, my first 3, I'll have court orders. But their moms just was consistent on keeping them away from me and making excuses. Oh, they gotta do this. Oh, they gotta do this. They'd be like, oh, I gotta take her to her game. I could take her to her game. I gotta take her to the doctor. I could take her to the doctor. Well, don't worry about it. So I stopped worrying about it. And I told my other baby mama, she was like, we need to get back on track on the weekends. I said, whenever you're ready, I'll be there. But it don't seem like you're ready to let your kids come over. So don't call me until you're ready. You'll know when you're ready because you're going to call me. Then my other one, she'll take my kid away, be in court for motion to revoke, motion to enforce, motion to all the motions. And only thing I got out of that was her back taking my kids away after that. So then years down the line, I get custody of my 13-year-old, and it's fine. Everything is fine. I don't have to deal with her mama. Well, her mama called her. She don't have to call me. but I have all rights, and you can't see her unless I say so. So that's the only good thing that's came out of that court situation. And so court is never fun. You know, the stuff that he's doing, keeping the kids away. I couldn't be that person. If my baby mom want to see my daughter, you know, it's court order and stuff. But, you know, she got to handle her court stuff, and so I got to handle mine. But I don't want to keep her away, so, you know, that's not my job. I can't do what they did to me. But I did have, when they was doing to me, I had to step back, because it was either keep fighting in court, or pull up on our house, go to jail, make a fool out of myself in front of a house. I'm not doing that. I got too much pride. And my pride in God was like, let go and let God. And eventually God moved mountains. You know, for all my kids. He moved mountains for all of them. So, and one thing is, when other women, they see how you are with your kids, and they use that against you. Like, they use that against you. Your love for your kids, they will use that against you. So be careful with the women you date, because some of them narcissistic women will use, like, if you love your kids so much, you know how she gonna hurt you? Well, you ain't gonna get to see your kids. You just be like, now you know I just went through this with her. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And they be like, so I don't care. And that's how they are. It's very, but either way, I feel her for wanting to give up. I'm not sure how her older daughter feels, but I think her older daughter is very, very upset with all this. So I think she should let go and let God. But yeah, she just didn't have the money to fight, and that was her main issue. And sometimes it's too late. It's been 10 years. Actually, it should be like 14 years at this point, because if it was 2010 when she was born, this video was made in 2021. Now it's 2024. If she was born in 2010, she should be about 14 years old. I mean, the girl is about to be graduating high school, and she probably been taught a lot of bad stuff about her mama, which is crazy. But anyway, everyday people, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll let you later. Peace.